Okay, so welcome to episode 2 of our 4-part design series about the phases of design. Today we are talking about design development. So if you remember, we were looking at the Courtyard Mission Valley, and I wanted to kind of highlight for you the steps that we go through during design development and sort of how things evolve, and to follow up on the exciting change that happened to this project halfway through design development. So this is my CAD file where I have all of the various phases that this design development went through. And as I scroll out, you will see there's a lot. The biggest change that happened during the design development for this particular project involved the bar. So from last week, you'll remember that the bar was over on this side. And here, let me go back to this is sort of where we were looking at last time. We had like a coffee bar over here, the buffet going on up here, lots of different elements to fix the flow of the space. So these were the couple of different forms that I showed initially, and then we got feedback, and we kind of kept evolving it. This version doesn't really have a buffet, and the bar was going to be operated as the buffet and kind of a lounge space back here. We kind of played around with putting the front desk kind of central. This was a version that the architect came up with that was less inspired, which is why we hire designers. So there was sort of further development into this. We kept on, these are all the different times we presented. And as we move along, we're going to hit a version where, what? The bar got moved to the center of the lobby. So basically, we decided, or ownership decided, after seeing couple different schematic layouts and how we want to improve the space, that we really wanted to make the bar something focal. And so we shifted to this central square-shaped bar with sort of communal seating, lounge in the center. The buffet gets shifted up here to be more L-shaped, another big communal space, and then banquette seating. Keeping the front desk where it is, and the market in this sort of new location that we realized we could put it in during one of our site visits. So this was super exciting. We didn't think we were going to have the money for it. Ownership came back and they decided that they did have money for it. And so from, what time is this? This is November 5th. That is where the bar stayed. And going through all of the next sort of course of design development, see, now we're adding some lighting, that had this really interesting feature above the lounge space. And as we go through, this is pretty much where we ended up. And this is roughly, I think we did a little bit more development after this, but this is basically what we're going to end up having. And we're super excited about this bar. So once we landed in this space and the decision had been made to shift the bar, that's when I started working on the design presentation. You guys have seen pieces of this already on a previous Monday Morning Mentors, but this is where we take the finalized layout that we've signed off on and said, yep, this is how we want to develop it. And this is when we start to get really creative and pulling fabrics and finishes. Now, this is pre-brand approval because you have to get ownership approval before you get brand approval. So, we're developing, we've got some elevations with some visuals. You guys will have seen some of Lindsay's presentations. She does these so well. There's some imagery from brand standard, so this can show them some of the standard features we're using and how we're modifying it. We've got a 3D rendering of this bar, which has been developed a little bit further now, because this was I think back in December when we presented this. But we've got a couple of brand standard pieces, some, visuals on this custom light fixture that I'm super excited about. That's going to go over this lounge area. So yeah, this is just kind of what how we develop in the design development phase we finalize the layout after much back and forth, especially on anything that's custom. And then once we finalize the layout, then we really kind of dive into picking fabrics and finishes and any custom furniture pieces and putting everything together to get ownership sign off. Once we get this, then we go in through specification development. And then once all of the specs and drawings are to a point where we're comfortable showing brand, it gets sent off to whoever the brand is. So obviously Marriott, Hilton, IHG for their approval. So yeah, that's what happens during design development. It's a super exciting time. It can take a while depending on how much back and forth it takes with your ownership group. But yeah, that is happening right now on so many different projects. And yeah, let's talk about any questions you may have.